Welcome to the CiconePrince.com show starring your man, Cicone Prince. Cicone is an international recognized motivational speaker that focuses on personal development and leadership development. He does this through thought-provoking keynotes, life-changing books, and powerful group coaching sessions. Cicone is a transformational speaker, award-winning author, editor of a globally read online magazine, and conference host. Please welcome your host, Cicone Prince.
Welcome to the CiconePrince.com show, and I'm your host, Cicone Prince. I can't tell you how excited I am to have you check this episode out, because the guy I got coming up later on in the show, my good friend Billy Boyer, he is going to share some information with you that's going to be life-changing. And I know you say, Cicone, you say that all the time. Well, it's true. It's true, because when you have people that truly care about you, then you'll see just how they show up. It's not about them. It's not about making a name for themselves, but they're there to help. And that's one of the things that really is at the core of who I am. I love to help people. I mean, it's one of the things, it almost like, it's like oxygen to me. And I realized that God has equipped me to help, and He's given me certain skills and abilities to help individuals. And you know what? I've been doing just that through my speaking, through my coaching, through my authoring, through my seminars, and through my online content, helping people to be a better version of themselves. So when's the last time you really took the time to invest in you? When was the last time you bought a book, or you got a coach, you attended a seminar, you watched a webinar? When was the last time you made an investment in you? And oftentimes people say, well, I'm just paying that person this money. I'm paying this coach this money. I'm buying this book, and I'm lining their pockets. It's that investment in you. It's sad when companies that we work for will spend more money on us than we would spend on ourselves. I remember somebody saying, Cicone, if you could say something to your younger self, what would you say? I would say, start sooner. I would tell my younger self to start investing in yourself sooner. I would tell my younger self to spend time educating yourself and getting around people that were going somewhere, the same place you wanted to go. I would tell myself to start sooner. And so many times people don't take the time to do just that. They just kind of meander through life, and they wonder why they're not fulfilled and why they don't have any purpose or meaning. It's because they haven't invested in themselves. If somebody gave you a plate of food, you'd be grateful, thankful, and especially if it's something that you like, you would eat it. But if you paid for the food, I sincerely doubt you would waste it. Now, that free food, it was free. I can eat it, I can not eat it, I can give it away. But if I'm paying for it, wait a minute now. I paid for this. I'm not wasting any of it. And that's how we should be when we invest in ourselves. When you pay for coaching, you show up. I remember a friend of mine telling me, Les Brown said, those who pay attention. I'm going to say that again for those that are taking notes. The ones who pay attention. And if you paid for something, you're going to try to get your money's worth out of it. I had a friend of mine, she told me, she said, you know, after I bought my son his 5th car, I was like, this is the last one. I said, wait, what? You bought your son 5 cars? I said, oh, after the first one, I would have helped him get the second one, but there's no way I'm going to 5 cars. He didn't value the car. But when he had to work for it, and when he had to pay for it himself, when he had to realize, if I don't keep it up, if I don't keep it maintained, I'll be walking or asking for a ride or catching a bus. When you have to pay for it, you pay attention. You watch all the lights on the dashboard. You check the oil, you check the radiator, you check the tires, you make sure that it's running right, because you realize if it goes out, I'm out. I'm waiting for somebody to come pick me up. And so even with our own life, we need to make that investment in ourselves. And we need to not only just, like my good friend said, a lot of people they spend money on shelf development and not self-development. They'll buy a book, but they don't read it. They'll go to a seminar, but they won't take notes. Or if they take notes, they won't implement them. And what's the point? The point you should be is to get the information that you're going to use. And one thing I hate is waste. Meaning that I don't like when people waste time, energy, effort, money. And I tell my kids all the time, the thing that you don't soon forget, the lessons you don't soon forget, are the one that costs you time, energy, effort, money, pain. Those are the ones that you don't soon forget. So are you making an investment in you? Are you making an investment in yourself? Because you'll never go broke investing in you. But if you never invest in yourself, can you truly say you've gotten the most out of life? Can you truly say that you are the best version of yourself if you never make any attempt to become better? The answer is no. So I want you to know that you can actually spend some time getting to know yourself, getting to know who you are and what you're capable of. And it's because of that you can be the best possible version of yourself. So listen, I do have something else that I want to share with you. This is another video fresh out the vault. Hello everybody, how you doing? This is Cicone Prince of CiconePrince.com, where we introduce you to yourself. And my question for you is, are you working for something that's not working for you? Are you working for something that's not working for you? I have a good friend of mine. He's real supportive of his wife, and anytime she goes on a diet, she asks him to go on it with her. And so what he does, he agrees and he says yes. So he'll eat what he's supposed to eat. In the morning, he'll have a poached egg and he'll have a cup of grapefruit juice. And then for lunch, he'll have a salad and a handful of almonds. And I asked him, say, hey man, how's it going? He said, I am starving. See, the deal is he's working for the diet, but the diet isn't working for him. Is that you? Are you working for something that's not working for you? You may be on a job. You may work somewhere and you're not being appreciated. People are taking you for granted. They're not allowing you to actually live up to your full potential. You may feel like you're being held back. You may be working for something, but it's not working for you. You may be in a relationship. You may have given it your all. In fact, you may be in it for 6, 7, 8 months, maybe even a couple of years. And you've done all that you can, and you realize that I'm working for the relationship. But this relationship, it's not working for me. I'm reminded of a biblical story. Actually, it's in 1 Samuel chapter 17, where David is going up against Goliath, and he's called in by King Saul at the time. And Saul wants him, he said, look, I want you to put on my armor. You can wear it out to the battle. Now, Saul, he really had an ulterior motive because he wanted David to go out dressed like him so people would think, oh, Saul killed a giant. And David put all this stuff on, put all this heavy armor stuff on. And guess what? He could hardly even move. He said, look, I haven't even proved this. If I wear this stuff out there, I'm going to get killed. He was working just to walk in the armor of somebody else. So in other words, what he was working for wasn't working for him. So he had to take all that stuff off and go and fight with what he had. So what am I trying to tell you today? I'm trying to encourage you. Even if you're in a situation that's not working for you, I'm not telling you to just quit. I'm not telling you to just jump ship. I'm not telling you to just walk out. But what I am telling you is to look and see if there's a way for something to change. You know, Mark Twain said it like this: everybody hates change except a wet baby. So we need to be willing to change, because our situations aren't going to change themselves. We have to change them. So if something's not working for you, it's okay. But what you need to do is make it a point, make sure that you put the necessary change in place so that it can start working. Maybe you have to stop working at one place and start somewhere else. Or even better yet, Maybe even start your own company. Maybe you have to talk about that relationship and see why it isn't working. And then it may be to a point to where, okay, you both need to go your separate ways. But then, again, there could be a point to where you could work it out. But don't just sit and suffer in silence. If something's not working for you, you have to be willing to speak up, because it's not going to get any better just by being quiet. And look, this is Cicone Prince of CiconePrince.com, where we introduce you to yourself. And I want to encourage you to work for something that's working for you. Hey, look, I asked you to like and share this video. Thank you. Daytime television is about to be turned on its head by the CiconePrince.com show. The show focuses on personal development and leadership development, with one-of-a-kind segments, engaging guests, and information to help you be a better version of yourself. Tune in every Wednesday to the CiconePrince.com show.
Please welcome your host, Cicone Prince.
And we all have to work hard like that.
Right. Man, it's about time for us to get started.
Well, we are. It's we live. We just waiting on you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good morning, men of God. Welcome to the National Men's Prayer Call.
And you know that I'm the Messiah. And on that rock, I'll be able to build your faith, your ministry, your identity, everything based on that fundamental knowledge that you know my identity.
Most of us are trying to game plan these different areas of life. Like, how am I going to win in my business? How am I going to, get this relationship right? How am I going to lose that 20 or 30 pounds, right? That COVID-19 that a lot of us put on. Like, we got plans for everything else, but what is the God plan?
We're in the month of May, and we have another edition of Next Generation Speakers Magazine. And this month we have none other than Karen Cherry, and she is the comeback queen. You want to check out her article in the magazine. We also have another prescription for excellence by none other than Dr. James J. Williams. And we are concluding our series of articles called Shift. You want to catch the last one. And if you missed the previous ones, there's a link in the magazine where you can go back and read those as well. So listen, if you want to read the magazine, it's free to read. Go to CiconePrince.com/NGS magazine. But to be in the magazine, go to CiconePrince.com/NGS magazine-2. And welcome back. Man, I can't tell you how excited I am to have our guest today. He's my good friend, Billy Boyer, and he always tells people that his last name is pronounced Boyer, like boy, you're in trouble. And I am so excited to have him because he and I met at a Toastmasters several years ago, and we've become great friends ever since then. But listen, I want Billy to tell you a little bit about himself and what it is he does. Billy?
Cicone, thank you so much. And I think we were teenagers when we met back in Toastmasters a few years ago. Just kidding. But, it's funny. I've gotten a lot of gray hair and you haven't aged a bit. So
see all of this in my beard?
Let me know. So for years, I actually worked as an executive chef. And it was one of those things, so many times you ask kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I either wanted to be a fighter pilot or a chef. And then I found out one day that I was too short to be a fighter pilot, but I could always stand on a milk crate in a kitchen. So it was okay. And so I actually went to culinary school and became a chef. And, and it was great. I mean, God really blessed me. I was able to do TV shows consecutively for 10 years, just published a cookbook a couple of years ago, as you know, and actually this year I segued out because, as you know, I went to the ministry a few years ago. And The thing was, I really wanted to be able to help like youth and young adults who almost had no direction and almost kind of the ones that, like in Luke 14, that are kind of outside the walls. I really wanted to be able to capture them. And so God just continued to bless. And so we were actually able to step away. And a lot of that was through, a lot of things that you taught me and doing leadership development and everything like that. So, we're just really excited. We're actually in a new phase in life and God has just been really good to us. But yeah, for 32 years, I spent in the restaurant business, 28 years as a chef, and got to develop myself, got to develop a lot of people. And now we're doing the same thing, but we're doing it in a ministry aspect.
Well, great. That is great. I'm telling you, and if you haven't had any of Billy's cooking, you are missing out. Because I'm telling you, Billy does an amazing job. And I still want to give that recipe for the chocolate mousse that you talked about. But listen. Okay, great. Well, let's talk a little bit about your development, your personal development, the things that you've done to actually get to where you are, even now, today. What is it that you've done that you can tell our audience that has helped you to become the version of the person that you are today?
Well, the first thing, Cicone, is I started reading every single day. Did not miss a day for 12 years. You know, you've heard the adage, readers are leaders, or leaders are readers.
Right.
Well, when I graduated high school, I graduated with basically a 5th to 6th grade reading level. Wow. And I remember my junior English teacher, she looked at me point blank in the eyes and she goes, do not go to college. You're not smart enough. You will waste your parents' money and you will waste your time.
Wow.
And that was really that really set a fire under me. You know, sometimes you have, and I had 2 really good teachers, and one of them I still keep up with. Another one, she passed away, but they always taught me, reach for the stars because you will get them. Right. And then this other teacher. And so I just decided that if it hair lipped her, I was going to become successful. And I realized if I couldn't read very well, the best way to be able to read very well was to start reading. So I literally started reading every single day for 20 minutes. The first couple of years, I might read a paragraph, and then I got to the point where I would read several pages, but I started reading books like Think and Grow Rich. My favorite is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I read that over and over. And so literally what transformed me was just reading and filling my mind with the stuff that God wanted me to fill it with. And I studied my Bible like crazy and read. And now I'm a great reader.
Right. Well, you know, even as you were talking, I was thinking about how as a child, I had a stuttering problem. And a lot of people wouldn't realize that, but I did. And in a way for me to combat that, I put myself in a position to where I had to read, I had to talk, because I know I had so much inside that I wanted to get out, and I couldn't just go through life with everything bottled up. So I started putting myself in positions where I had to speak and I had to talk. And eventually I got better. And just like you with the reading, you know, you have to make that investment in yourself. And I was telling somebody just earlier today about the importance of, you know, developing as a person, because no matter where you go, you're there. And if you don't develop, you take that same thinking, that same attitude, that same outlook to your next job, your next relationship, or even your next business. So Billy, now that you've actually learned how to develop yourself, what are some things that you do and how do you help other people to become a better version of themselves? So how do you lead people?
Well, one of the first things that I did, Cicone, was I wanted to make sure that I set the proper example. Because, you know, as a Christian, you know, I realize that everything that I do unto the Lord. Okay. Right. And so I wanted that testimony and that witness to be very prevalent to people. So I figured if I'm going to go to work and I'm going to lead these people, you know, number one, I have to be able to lead myself. So I always set that example. And then what I would do is I would invite people in. And this is what I mean. You know, if you were working for me, I would invite you to come and I would start doing leadership classes on Friday afternoons in between shifts. Okay. And I remember a lot of my friends who were chefs are like, why are you taking 30 minutes that you're paying your employees for and setting them down and talking to them? And I said, because I want them to have value, because I honestly believe every person has intrinsic value. Not every person's going to become a chef, but just because they work for me doesn't mean that they might wake up one morning and realize, okay, I'm not destined to be a chef, but I'm destined to be this, or I'm destined to be that. Right. And I wanted them to be able to walk in the fullness that God had for them. So if I could have any part, so I set the example, and then I invited them to just come in and start learning. And then I would try to equip them. You know, if I have a good friend of mine who, you know, he has a little bit of a book distribution center. So I would go and I would call them up and say, hey, I need 50 of these books. And I would give them to my staff because they could no longer say, I can't afford that book. You don't have to. Here's the book. So I would literally buy people resources to help them, and then just being available for people, because people want to know two things in life. They want to know, do you love me? And do you love me unconditionally? The old adage, people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. And when you let them know that you love them, brother, they will literally follow you to the ends of the earth. And when you give them a book, I've had guys that literally had never read a book since high school. They would come back with book reports for me.
Wow. That's impressive. That's impressive. Wow. So, I like to actually ask those two questions because oftentimes people think about, developing themselves and becoming a better version of themselves. But what I've learned is that once you've reached a certain level, not perfection, but once you've reached a certain level, there comes a point to where you have to start giving back. And what I heard you say, that you literally invested in other people just by giving them the resources that they need. And they value you for that. They appreciate you for that. So Billy, I know you talked about, you being a chef, and I know you've intertwined that with your ministry at times in order to help get people, to understand, even as Jesus did, with the parables and with the stuff, that he taught. You use your cooking to kind of drive home biblical principles and stuff. And I truly admire you for that. I know that it is something that's memorable. So what are some of the ways that you incorporate what it is that you're doing, even through some of your cooking demonstrations or even through your cookbook?
Well, let's be honest. If everybody comes together over food, I always make the joke, I became Baptist because you don't see too many skinny ones. I'm just saying, we love to eat, and so it's one of those things where, number one, food is very non-threatening.
Right.
So whether I'm doing a sermon at a church, or if I'm going to do a leadership seminar somewhere and I'm talking to them, I can say a lot of, because sometimes in leadership, we have to say the hard things to people, right? Well, when I'm coming at it from a cooking point of view, number one, people's guards will be down. True. And I can talk through an analogy, and I can talk through third person. And a lot of times I can talk about the hard issues that if we sit down with a person one-on-one, it might get a little uncomfortable for us, and it may get a little uncomfortable for them. But this way, if I'm talking about, lettuce or spinach going bad, and they'll get it and go, oh, I've been kind of doing that, and Billy was using that as an analogy. Maybe I need to stop. Right. So it allows me also to bring up the hard instances without offending people and maybe pushing them away at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I really love what you did. In fact, when you talked about organizational leadership at our Next Level Leadership Summit last year, and the cookie demonstration where you had pancakes, and you talked about that the same ingredients that are in cupcakes and pancakes and cakes are the same. It's just a proportion. And you did a masterful job of that. Well, Billy, I know that there's somebody listening that wants to find out more about you and how they can get in contact with you, maybe even get your cookbook. How can somebody get in contact with you?
Well, absolutely. The best way is they can email me at info@theresultsfoundation.org, all one word, or they can go to theresultsfoundation.org. And they can email me from there. My number's on there. There's a link to purchase the cookbook on there. There's also information on there if they'd like to have me come in and maybe speak to their organization, or maybe if they have something they need to talk about as well. It's just kind of a central hub for, to get the word out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I am so excited because I know that you have information that is going to help change somebody's life. And for those of you that are watching, you know that I bring nothing but the best of the best. And I'm telling you, Billy is definitely in the upper echelon of the people that I know and of the speakers that I know. And he is also a good friend. So listen, we are going to take a quick break and we will be right back.
The wait is finally over for Cicone's most anticipated book of the year, Leadership That Lasts, passing on 10 solid principles to ensure an enduring legacy. Powerful, effective, impactful, dynamic, phenomenal, transformative, life-changing. Available now in Amazon. Order yours today.
Welcome back. Man, I'm telling you, Billy Boyer, he is an amazing individual. And again, one of my good friends. And you know, even after we finished the interview, there was something that he shared with me, which really brings us to our last word, which is coming out of Colossians chapter 3, verse 17. And the word of the Lord reads, "And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God and the Father by him." You know, that's one of Billy's signature scriptures. I mean, it's the cornerstone of how he lives his life. And even in him cooking, even in him being a chef, even in his ministry, everything he does for the glory of God. And he used that scripture to inspire him. Well, I want you to do the same thing. I don't know where you are in your life. I really don't know what you're facing or what you're going through. But one thing I do know is that you're still here for a reason. God has a purpose for you. And it's understanding and knowing that purpose that definitely gets you where you need to be. And if you're looking for somebody, if you need somebody to help you, if you just want to talk, you can reach me online. You know, my website is ciconeprince.com. If you go to the coaching section, you'll find an actual questionnaire that you can fill out. But if you just want to email me and just find out more about what I do and how I can help you and your organization, you can email me at Cicone@ciconeprince.com. That's CICONE@CICONEPRINCE.com. And I'll be happy to actually have a discussion with you. We can talk, we can chop it up, and we can really find out what it is that you need in order to get to where you want to be. Hey, listen, next week we are going to have another stellar guest, and I can't tell you who that is, but you're just going to have to tune in to find out. Hey, listen, we'll talk to you later. God bless. Bye.